A return to form for EFAP, as they would say.
Yes, indeed. Hello, everybody. Welcome to EFAP Mini
Hi!
Superchat Catchup for episode 324, where Screen Crush argued the sequels actually make sense. What a great look back at the wonderful trilogy that made it all happen. Oh, Star
Look, some
Wars.
people want to play YouTube on hard mode, and I guess they're one of them.
Fuck yeah. It's a challenge, but it's one that they met head on and probably shouldn't have. Great timing. I literally just finished the supercut of DA Veilguard. Ah, Dragon Age. What a great
What was
time I had
your...
on that game.
Yeah, what was your favorite moment from Dragon Age the Veilguard?
Character creative. Pretty fun.
Yeah, that looked pretty fun. Looks more fun than the gameplay.
Yes. So... Can't believe the Star Wars sequels were good all along. I know, it's the greatest twist of 2024 or 5. Like, both. That applies to both. But, you know, it was there the whole time. They couldn't live with their failure. Where did that bring you? Back to the sequels. We all go back to the sequels eventually. The road you have to... We're doing this crap again? Fucking classic EFAP this weekend, eh? It'll be the 10th anniversary of TFA this December, and now look at it. Where's JJ? I know. He abandoned Star Wars. How could he? So
and
cruel.
movie making, seemingly.
And career. Well, we'll see. We'll see. He's not out yet. Rags, what is your favorite chew toy from one dog to another?
Oh, man. There's this one I got. It's this broccoli, right? It's like a chewy thing, but it's shaped like a broccoli and it's got a face on it. It makes a noise when you bite down on it. It's really good. It's really, really good. I would highly recommend. It really sets my soul aflutter.
Oh. Hey, this is not a free or an EFAP. No, it is not.
Correct,
Something
it's not.
very different. Hello, my massive N-words. I'd like you to know I greatly enjoy my EFAP Halloween plushies, and Hoodie Makeshift did a great job. Thank you for all your faces. Well,
Oh,
they
you
did.
bet. Yeah, they did do a great job, and thanks for picking them up. Glad to hear they're working out well.
Absolutely. 3 years of fun and adventure, many more to come. Well, 3,000 billion years more of EFAP. That's how
Whoa. Yeah.
no, it's quite a promise.
Fun.
I'll try and come through on it.
We'll be streaming in 87K at 4 trillion frames per second.
Exactly. Somehow the sequels make sense. Yes, they do. And Poe knew it. Listing waiting in line for the Long Kong ride, waiting to try and outdrink the drinker tonight. May the Don bless me to not drink like Rags, but Mootle. Yeah.
So, look, drinking like me is a lot of fun, all right? It's great.
And it's cheaper.
That's true. Think of all the money that you'll save if you drink like me.
Exactly. He is risen. Jesus Christ be praised. Well, are you talking about Screen Crush or the
Hallelujah.
sequels? But yeah, fair enough. Why didn't
Easter.
the guy who invented dynamite also invent the telephone? Well, he may have been smart, but he was no Bell. Ho ho ho!
Wow. That is pretty good.
Rags like that
No
one.
Bell.
Look at him. He's so over the moon about it.
Pretty smart, but he was no Bell.
Muller, are you a secret chungus after all the Boogie Movie Bob coverage? You liar, you're a liar! JK, absolutely love EFAP for long runs. Fantastic endorphin rush. Oh my, well. Yeah, it does feel like there's a lot of people, we've seen some messages that when you watch someone like a Boogie, you're like, you know what? I cannot even risk becoming like that. So I must change my ways, sort of thing, which is, it's good. Thanks. Good job, Boogie. Weekend Warrior, haven't seen you in ages. Yeah, it was good to have him in. His timeline doesn't match us very well, but you know, when we can get him, we'll grab him. Fun lad. Oh yeah, sweet crispy. You know what? Atomic Heart came out 2 years ago, February 20th. Crazy, right? This game has 3 DLCs. I wonder the last time someone talked about that game was when they last
it has
talked
3
about
DLCs.
it. Oh, well.
Interesting.
It was a wacky game. Really wacky game.
I think that was Mundfish's first game, wasn't it? That's a pretty impressive for a first game.
I think so, yeah. Just trying.
Tighten it up. Try again. You know, I'll definitely be interested what their second game is.
Rem is questioning. Everyone being an a-hole and mindlessly effing everything up equals, or does not equal, a strong theme of failure. Well, certainly not when the movie itself doesn't agree with their failure, like what we perceive as their failure. What are absolutely things they fuck up, and like look at the Holdo Poe shit, right?
Mhm.
Like Poe failed. No, he did not. Nuance, more like nuisance. Oh.
Oh.
If ever you need a video to react to, I'd be very interested to your response to Defending the Batman, a response to EFAP by SK. You guys make me laugh regularly, thank you, and wish you 3 the best. Not impossible, but we haven't done like a defense of a thing in a while, and I don't... Yeah, I'm not super passionate about the Batman. I am about the Penguin.
Nah.
Penguin,
Yep.
for sure.
We'll defend that. We will defend the fuck out of the Penguin.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's been a while since we've done like a response to a thing. But we've been doing more breakdowns and funny slash, like there's all kinds of videos you can kind of look at. But I've said before, and I don't know how to describe it, but there are certain videos that make for like really good EFAPs.
There's a juice.
Yeah.
There's a juiciness to them, and it's not even about. I mean, fuck, right, Boogie. What's that got to do with media analysis? But man, those can be some potent memes.
Well, like you can hit the sweet spot sometimes. Like that art video from Ethan is Online. It's like
oh
so
God,
many...
that was really something.
That was one of the worst.
it's so awful, but like it prompted so many fun discussions and everything. It's like I said, it's hard to explain exactly what the thing about it is, but it works.
Rags, I think Rags is flisming.
He'll be back.
I'm back now, but for a moment, for a moment there, I was gone a Rooney.
You were calling out and nothing returned. Was that scary?
Oh my goodness!
Did it seem like you were alone in the universe?
It did. All of a sudden,
the
everything went dark and quiet. I felt scared. I'm so glad to be back.
Come on, guys. This was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Yeah, well, history remembers. Stop thinking it's a space movie made for wizard children, bigots. Yeah, I mean, well, it was... God, imagine making a film and everyone starts pulling that out who liked it. You'd be like, oh no.
It's supposed to be retarded. It's silly, like, nonsense, stupidity.
People don't say that about the good kids films. Oh no.
Yeah. Guys, stop defending my movie, please.
It's not helping. To quote Futurama, what? Yeah, I know, I understand.
Just imagining Farnsworth.
It was Palpatine all along. Yeah, it was, which was not the plan, but hey.
No, obviously not.
This is exactly what Lucas envisioned back in '76 when he was writing down the story of Star Wars.
Definitely. It's just so funny, right? That intro where he's like, all the Snoke guys, yeah? And Vader in your head, yeah, that was me. Like, okay.
Lol.
The author of all your pain.
Like, you alright, I'll believe you, you silly old man. I think Isaac Asimov is the best example of a writer with great stories but bad characters. His stories lean on their concept, while the characters tend to be just a vehicle to convey those concepts.
I know why he would think that. A lot of Asimov's characters are they're not super complicated or necessarily, what would be a way to describe it? They're fairly simplistic in terms of the way that they're presented in their roles and stories. Kind of. They're not bad, but they're a bit flat, especially when you compare it to other stuff. But the stories that he puts them in and the way that they interact with other people is really good. But no one reads, like, if I was to recommend people read, like, Foundation and Empire or anything like that, I wouldn't say because the characters are great. Characters are good, but they're more... It's such a grandiose story that it's not so much about the specific characters as to how they interact with other people and how the world changes along with them. but I see why someone would think that. He has a particular style to him, as many writers do, and his focus, I don't think, is on the characters. However, I've mentioned it before. Nightfall, which is a book that he wrote with Robert Silverberg, is a really cool story, and it's a neat concept, and it's got some pretty strong characters, as I recall. I forget the names, but I remember like their positions and their roles in the story. But I guess now that the super chatter thinks, yeah, I think that's fair to think that. They're not bad though. They're not bad.
All right. Rags, how's Rags the Hermit Crab doing? Is he safe? Is he all right?
Oh, that's a throwback. Yeah, I think he's doing a-okay.
Good.
I don't know where he is now. He's got a mobile home, so he goes. He goes where he goes.
It's a shame Michael Bay never went on to remake Mask. All right. What's Michael Bay doing these days? Still making stuff?
I think he's still making movies. I just don't think they make as much money as they used to.
Where there's a shill, there's a way. Well, I mean, I'm
like Will, but shill.
I'm not even sure what was going on with Screen Crush. He's like Rag said, it's like, you know what, you just decided you'd play hard mode, go on and do a challenge. Someone dared him, or he lost a bet. One of those sorts of situations.
Maybe they just decided this will get us some views, and that's something we really need right now, or something.
That's a good possibility as well. Definitely one of those channels, where they're just like, what's the next eye-catching thing we can do? Blah, blah, blah. My ex used to make me watch this guy's videos, and I could never figure out why I hated them. Thanks for the breakdown of why they're actually shit. We've covered Screen Crush a couple of times now, actually. I think people don't remember how much we've covered it because it's easy to forget the guy,
Yeah.
Not quite as impactful as a lot of the different fellas we cover. Nutsa needs to make a goblin character wearing Grogu's hat as a hat. Oh, Grogu's head as a hat. That's an idea, but you can see in her newer stuff, she's kind of morphing the character to move away from Grogu, but to be inspired by it, and hopefully make her own sort of thing.
I think that's a good move, yeah.
Yeah.
Keep the inspiration, because I like the silhouette of like essentially a bell shaped with two pointy ears sticking out the top. It reminds me of one of the little demon guys from Yahtzee. Whenever they have like a demon or a monster, the little characters he uses for those, it reminds me of that. And I think it's a really fun kind of shape for someone to be. But yeah, I think it's the right move. Keep the general like aesthetic kind of concept, but make it your own.
That makes sense. Talking about Star Wars again, we are so back. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Peak fire, bro.
Peak fire. Since when do good movies need 10 years to become known and appreciated? Joker 1, Puss in Boots 2, Godzilla Minus 1 were praised immediately. Well, so it's not that that's not possible. It's just that that's clearly not what happened to TLJ. So it's like, well, so then what is it? It's like, it's one of those masterpieces that happens later. You're like, oh, I see. And what if it isn't? It's like, well, it's one of those ones that gets appreciated 100 years from now. But believe me, like I said, the flood of video essays are on the way. I could believe
they will come, yeah.
There are people who've made the 10-year anniversary of TLJ video already, and they've set it
got it waiting until, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of funny because I think that will happen, and it will kind of almost be this attempt to like brute force them being correct.
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean, if it's a sufficient number of tweets.
Yeah, no, they'll say like, it's been 10 years and most people agree now that the film is incredible. And it'll just be like, what?
Yeah, I'll just say that, yeah.
Even though we all
this
know
is definitely true.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, we'll still be here, more than likely, so we'll check out some of their videos.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone will be like, no, it's objectively true, and it's amazing, and here's why. And then they just say all the usual shit. It would be neat if we had some new arguments, I guess, even if they're wacky. Like, save the MCU with Muppets,
That was a good one.
Pretty funny.
I like these novel ideas.
That one. I enjoy being surprised in these discussions.
Disney is so incompetent they revealed a new alien that was almost a carbon copy of a Lucas-era one, and months later retconned it to be a subspecies. Funny.
I wish they included a name so I could take a look at it. But I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what they've essentially done. They've made really shitty, terrible versions of concepts that they decanonized.
Yeah. Speaking of Andor, finally watched it. Good rat, but it made me think. What would Star Wars be like if Kenobi were as good as Andor? Probably still the same. So, we'd get Kenobi Season 2 by now, if it were as good as Andor.
Or it's good,
that's
that'd
for
be
sure.
more, for sure.
Everyone gave Kenobi a chance, because it's... say what
Kenobi.
you want about the prequels, but, like, people were more than willing to see Ewan McGregor play Obi-Wan Kenobi in a new series.
Yep.
So they had their shot, and they fucked it. To the point where he's still willing to do like a season 2 and has said so several times, and Disney like pulling their collar, like, don't worry about it. Even though
Yeah, it's
that's
not
a
gonna
fucking dream come true to have the IP and to have one of the like favored living, and not only living, but like he's got a while left of
In
being
shape, he's healthy, he's
yeah,
talented.
and he's got all the fucking lightsaber training. That's like
Yeah, man.
muscle memory now.
And then they
He knows the character
fucked
back
it.
to front. He looks like Alec Guinness. You could have him play Obi-Wan until he is actually
Alec
dying.
Guinness. Alec Guinness went back in time, or went forward in time, to have a kid with somebody that would look like him to play a character of his as a prequel in the future.
Exactly.
This was all set up. It all makes sense.
So, yeah, that tells you how royally they fucked all of that up. Because if it was as good as Andor, we would, like I said, we'd have Season 2, and they probably would have announced Season 3 already.
Now they're hesitant to make anything with Star Wars on it, which is wild to think.
What is the big...
If you would have gone back in time and told me in 2013 when they bought it that, hey, in about a decade, they'll be terrified to make anything with the Star Wars name on it, I'd say, no way. That'd just be printing money forever, right?
And yet, here we are. But yeah, I was going to say, the thing with Andor, a lot of people said, was that nobody they recognize, nobody they care about, and no crazy Star Wars things. So if the writing of Andor were in Kenobi, with Kenobi and fucking Vader, you know, it's like the two halves would come together and probably be their most popular thing.
Yeah.
The Thing has 2 separate sequel comics and the video game sequel, all of which just being okay at best. I have a soft spot for the game. Fair enough.
They did a remake or remaster of it recently, didn't they?
Yes, the game got remastered.
Or... Right.
What would you do if Fringy was lying about being Australian and was actually from Idaho? Don Bless and High Rags.
Hi. Well, I mean, we know he's obviously lying about the Australia thing, but, you know, we humor him. He's a nice guy, and it's not like a stickler or anything. We don't care.
So
He probably has his reasons.
The Australia thing was it's just like an agreed upon, like, that's what people. It's kind of like, you know, oh, where were you the other day, and you just go, that was at the store or something. You know, like you just say it and everyone understands what you mean in terms of like you don't want to talk about it, which is fine.
About what? Australia?
Yeah, like if someone was like, "Where are you from?" and you could say where you're from, or you say Australia, that just means like I don't want to talk about it, sort of thing, which is fine.
I can see that
I didn't know
legitimately
that.
being a social thing that happens. Like,
Yeah.
where are you from? Oh, I'm from Australia. It's like the fake writer name of locations. Like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want credit for it. I talk about it or anything, you know.
Oh, Weekend Warrior. It's been a while. Glad to see you back with the crew. Hell yeah. I've
Yeah, it has
lived
been a while.
long enough to go from, no, we need to reboot the series, to, they aren't rebooting the series, thank God. Had this when I thought Battlestar Galactica wasn't getting a reboot, and then I googled it. Leave SG-1 alone. That's the thing. That's where I'm at. Almost any new projects that relate to franchises I adore, there's like barely any that I could go, ooh. Because there's so few creators that even get access to franchises that I love anyway. You know, the creators I love versus the franchises I love, there's not much of a meshing. They stay in 2 separate areas. So I guess, you know, Flanagan writing a Clayface movie is like, oh, hey, that could be something.
Anything that has his name on it, consider me interested.
I'll give it a shot for sure, yeah. I've only been here for 5 minutes. What's going on? Oh. You don't even begin to know the world we entered with the Screen Crush video. These dinosaurs were too dangerous for the original park because I guess T-Rex, raptors, and Dilophosaurus, what was it? Dilophosaurus? That was it. Are safe. I'm not sure what this is a reference to. Did Jurassic Park come up in that video? It would have been too early for Rebirth.
I don't know.
At least I think, anyway. Was Rebirth already talked about at this point? A while back. We're getting that. Well, we've probably
Jurassic
covered
Park
that already.
Rebirth?
Yeah. We've probably covered that,
What the fuck?
maybe. What?
What is this?
What do you mean?
Is that the next movie? It's called Rebirth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm so out of the loop. I give so little shits. I didn't even know its
That's
name.
the one with the orc dinosaur that's gonna be in it. It's
Oh,
like the
that was Black Widow's in it. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
She did
like I said,
great.
we've
I
probably
really
covered it by
enjoyed
now.
her.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, what a great film that
Yep,
was.
that was a solid movie. I hope the next one
Really
is even better.
exceeded our expectations.
Oh
that
man,
one.
It
we loved
certainly
it.
did.
We
We all
certainly
had our
didn't
favorite
talk once
scenes.
again about the horrors that have been done to that poor franchise.
They got paid.
Video essays with the actually in their title are bad 90% of the time. Luckily, my super chat isn't a title, so I can say that you Dumbo should actually play DDLC. Yeah,
Oh.
I'm only a fan of putting actually in the title if it's for like irony or reference and stuff. But when you unironically fucking put it in there as a sort of I'm right on this, like, okay.
Mm,
Quick bets on if his claimed theme is contradicted by the movie. Oh well, that's
like EFAP golden rule number.
yeah, that's
like
everyone's
1 or
videos.
2. That's like the claim of the video essayist will always be contradictory of the clips that they use to attempt to, as they say, the point. It's like a golden rule.
Who else sees RLMJ in the Screen Cush guy? I could see it. Fierce brother sort of thing.
Yeah.
Action
yeah,
there.
yeah.
EFAP covering the sequel trilogy again. Why do I feel like the circle of life is somehow now complete? Well, sometimes you just have to go back home, you know?
It's a never-ending circle. It's a spiral into madness. And it never ends.
There seems to be a weird conflation between production values and overall quality. Also, why was Fat Spider-Man wearing underpants? Well, fat people should wear underpants too.
He's not free webbing down there.
Babu Frick is voiced by Shirley Henderson, who's also in Intermission 2003, a movie which I strongly suggest. Oh, they said suggest Ga, but I assume they just mean checking it out. Okay.
Intermission 2003. Don't recall this.
We've gone from the Star Wars sequels are the best to the Star Wars sequels are good, actually, to the Star Wars sequels make sense. Yeah.
That is true, yeah. The goalposts have shifted so far.
Yeah.
No, guys. They're not nonsense.
Having an infected tooth was easily the worst physical pain I've ever had. Definitely get yourselves a water flosser. Yeah, I had a tooth problem once that I think that's the worst pain I've been in my life. I'm trying to remember if there's anything that beats it out.
A
But
tooth infection?
yeah, well, I can't even remember. It was such a long time ago now that I can't remember what the problem was. But it was something was very wrong with the tooth, and it was impossible to see a dentist. In that moment, anyway. And so I had to sit with it for a while, and it was so painful I threw up. Like, I've never...
Oh my god.
It was, like, completely fucking with everything. I couldn't do anything. It was just completely... Because it's interesting. I've talked about this before, but because, like, from a broad amount of accounts, it's like the worst pains will be between severe headache, severe toothache, severe backache. Like, those three at the absolute, like, migraine. A lot of people pick back because you can't even move. If you move, your back will go, then you're just like, ah. But then again, the brain and the teeth. I think the teeth is the low key
it's such
sort
a
of
personal place.
Well, because the brain, right? Like, obviously, I understand that it's just this horrifying pounding. You can't do a single thing. The whole world is fucked because your brain is. But the tooth is like a sneaky possible winner for this 3 competition because it's like getting stabbed up through your mouth into your brain.
Yeah, it's that head area, and it's such a personal location, and there's nothing you could do about it, you know?
Yeah, it's
Your mouth, it's like a sore throat is in the similar kind of vein. When you have a really sore throat, it kind of just lords over everything that you do. You know, it makes you want to cough, and it's scratchy, and you don't want to talk, and you don't really want to eat. You just want to try and soothe it for a second with a drink of water or something. But it's just this oppressive kind of pain and discomfort.
I quite like, the understanding of pain as this developed system that is absolutely excellent for letting it's just a thing of like there is something wrong here. take care of this. The body is reporting
I know
issues.
where you're going.
But how did this system get to the point of, the pain itself can, it can knock you out if it's bad enough. It can kill you. It's just like, I think some work needs to be done there, lads. You made it. The loud settings don't have a cap.
And also, like, I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, like, you're crippling me.
It's all pain, and it's like there's no way to take care of it.
It's almost like you want the brain to go down to the nerve and be like, we know there's nothing we can do, so stop yelling.
Well, it's like you want to hit like the snooze button on pain,
Yeah.
or like when the alarm goes off and you like, I'm gonna hit the button to acknowledge it. It's like,
I
yep,
suppose.
I know that there is a problem.
Someone could say, well, that's what a painkiller is. It's like, dude, when you've got the kind of pain that painkillers don't do anything for, or you need super duper baduper drugs that you need a doctor for,
or something like that,
yeah,
or psychedelics.
Oh well, so like the thing with the tooth, unlike the back and the brain, is I know that a lot of people are like, I'm just gonna fucking pull this thing out myself because that will get rid of the pain. It's just it's almost. I'm 50-50 on this. It's almost worse because at least with the brain and the back, you're like, I have to commit. But with the tooth, it's like, that is always an option floating around if you're desperate.
Yep. This can go. We can fucking Tom Hanks this bullshit.
Yeah.
And
it's like, do you want to? And of course, do it wrong, and you could fuck up your mouth. And I guess if you got a really good pliers or tweezers, sort of, you can get in there and yank it.
Hey, in the moment when you're in that kind of pain, you'll take the risk.
Take the deal. It's like, do you want to lose a tooth for pain relief? You're like, yes.
We can make guys like, I have a fake tooth. It's fine. You can get a fake tooth. No one will ever know. It's just you'll forget that you have it because it's just a part of you. But yeah, I totally understand that desire. Just get rid of it. I will say this though, the worst pain that I have ever been in was when I got food poisoning. I got really bad food poisoning. I think it was staphylococcal food poisoning. I'm not certain. Matched all the symptoms and the timing and everything. I ate some really bad crab cakes, and about 2 hours later, started to feel really, really bad, slowly but surely. And then my entire body felt terrible, and then I started throwing up. And then I would throw up like every half hour, and it just kept happening.
Did you get to the point where you start throwing up the little, it's like a yellowy liquid that's really thin because there's nothing left? Did you get that?
No, I didn't, because what I did was I could sense that, I'm just going to, like every half an hour, I'm just going to throw up. My body will want to lurch something out of me. So I'm going to drink and pound as much water down as I possibly can, just so that when I do throw up, I'm actually throwing something up. And it felt so much, I'm not saying better, it felt so much less worse when I was actually throwing up like water.
No,
that
yeah,
I just drank
that is a
instead of the
strat,
cramps, just like, yeah,
because
and it paid off.
The desire to throw up when there's absolutely nothing left it'll like
God.
crush the stomach or muscle it such that what you get is basically stomach acid being like, I'm here. Do you want to? Are we good? Is that?
It's twisty. Yeah, it's convulsing enough that it's like blood from a stone essentially.
Yeah.
And it was as bad as that was to constantly throw up. It really was like every half hour, 45 minutes. I couldn't sleep. You couldn't sleep because you just couldn't. So I was not only throwing up constantly, I had to stay awake, and I was extremely tired. I wanted to sleep so much, but I could not do it. So those two things had a compounding effect.
There's a guy's video I saw that was he was talking about how he was sleeping and he woke up to what felt like almost dying because he like food had come up back through his stomach, so he was like choking on, I think it was like reflux sort of thing, and he didn't understand it. It was the first time it ever happened to him, so he thought that what it meant was he'd eaten too much food and that his body was about to die. Like he in retrospect realized he was like in panic mode. He'd just woken up. He had no understanding what the fuck was going on. So he just had this idea of like, I need to obviously throw up to get this out of my body so it doesn't kill me. And because he thought he was like on the verge of death, he was throwing up excessively as much as possible to get everything out, pushing his body way further than it should. And like he had a picture and his eyes had like, like the difference between you have what you could call like a regular blood shot where you scratch your eye a bit too much or rub it and you get like the maybe you look extremely tired look of bloodshot, but he had it so there's spots of like red blood in the eyes because of the popping blood vessels and stuff.
Fuck me.
Yeah, and I was just like, I guess that's a good warning for trying not to go too crazy when vomiting, but obviously you don't have a choice sometimes because the body's doing it.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, there you go.
I will say on that note for everyone, so we're talking to everyone know the Heimlich maneuver. Or just every once in a while it pops up. Know the Heimlich maneuver. It's very simple. It's easy to learn, and it very well might save someone's life around you. So know the Heimlich maneuver. I can promise. I can guarantee. I can guarantee it might happen. Happened to me once.
Well,
when I
you
was,
can statistically
working at a
guarantee it
restaurant.
will happen on Earth. It just might not happen in your vicinity, but might too.
Statistically, the amount of times that people choke because we have one tube for our air and our food. Great design feature. People choke. People choke on stuff. The Heimlich maneuver can come in handy. I have used it before. Probably saved someone's life with it when I was working in a restaurant. Very important. Know the Heimlich maneuver.
Yeah, I mean, my mom saved my dad with that once. Yeah, choked on cheese.
Oh, 100%. I believe it. Cheese. It was chicken for the guy I saved. It was It was on a Tuesday because we had Taco Tuesday for a lunch special. It was a piece of chicken that got stuck in his throat, and he was at a table with like 4 other guys who are coworkers, and everyone just kind of froze up.
What are the what's forcing it up? Is it muscle or is it like air trying to be pushed out of the lungs?
I think it probably is. If you squeeze the stomach, the air in there is going to want to go upwards because that's the only way it can go, which I think propels the food upwards as well.
Interesting.
So that's as far as I know what does it. You can do it to yourself if you need to, often using like the back of a chair or something. But you want to get them from behind, tell them to stand up.
Apparently the compression on the lungs exerts pressure on the object.
Right.
That's what Wikipedia says. So, because I don't really know much about the maneuver itself.
Yeah, you want to grab them around the chest. You want to get them around the belly, and you want to bring your thumbs together to where your thumbs kind of form a bit of a point, and use that as a point to essentially push into them. And you want to go at a kind of upwards angle underneath the sternum, so you can actually get in there and push in. And you want to keep doing that over and over, and don't be gentle. Get that shit out of there. ABCs, airway, breathing, circulation. I mean, it's the A in ABC. It's one of the things we learned in ESAR. Was like a list of what's most important. You have to have your airway unobstructed, which is necessary to the B, which is breathing. So you have to be doing those things, and then C is the circulation, the blood moving through your system. So you can choke and die very quickly if you don't get that air. But yeah, know the Heimlich maneuver. It's important.
Ahmed Best blamed the media commentators who called him an Uncle Tom. He didn't even receive any online hate. Social media back then was ICQ. Well, yeah, it's always weird. People try to relate like some like Twitter harassment to what Ahmed Best had, and it's just like that. We're talking fucking 1999, dude.
People didn't think that Ahmed Best was Jar Jar Binks.
I don't even remember when I first saw that it was a guy in a suit. Not to say that I didn't think that was the case, but seeing the guy, I was just like, oh shit,
you never
there's Jar Jar.
think of it that way, you never think of, oh, Jar Jar is a guy in a suit that was CGI'd over. It's like, oh, it's the character Jar Jar Binks that I hate, who is very annoying. You don't even think of the person in there until someone mentions it.
It was due to Jar Jar being seen as a racial stereotype. Comedians ripped into him and everything. I remember a Wayne Brady gag from WLIIA about it.
Whose line is it anyway? Oh, yeah, that's right. Jar Jar Binks pops up a few times, and whose line is it anyway? Yeah, that's right. I was
going to say, some of this stuff...
I think I know what you're talking about, yeah.
It's down to the person reacting to it, because, like, some of it's all in good fun, like, and if you take it well, it can go really well. Take, for example, everyone making fun of Madam Web, and then Sydney Sweeney and, I forget her name, Dakota Johnson playing into it, It's like you could choose to be like, it's been horrible, everyone's been, it's been harassment, blah, blah. Or you can be like, yeah, it's pretty shit. But, whatever. It's a movie. It's funny. That sort of thing. It's like it's better for your own mental health, and it's more fun for everybody. Especially just it was a bad movie, right? It's okay.
People don't blame you for that. You're the actor, you know? You do the best with what you can. Unless you do a bad job at the actual job, no one's gonna blame you for Madam Web or a movie that's terribly written. Like you're the actor. That's not your job.
Sure, Ryan can say that he isn't a Disney shill all he wants, but the ratio for his positive videos on Disney is far bigger than his negative videos. Admit it, you would still kowtow to Disney anyway. I mean, I'm not going to make necessary claims about that right now. I can't remember. I get my memory of his like positions gets flushed semi-regularly, so I can't remember what like motives he might have. But I know that the channel itself is definitely trying to draw in clicks from like anywhere. So it would be curious for a channel to launch like 2 videos at once, saying TLJ is the worst thing that ever happened to cinema, and TLJ is the greatest masterpiece of all time, and see which one. I was about to say try and make them twin videos, like the same format, and the arguments are kind of, with say for example the stupid dagger that directs you, whatever. The commentary on it is you introduce it the exact same way in both videos. And the criticism one talks about the, astronomical fucking coincidences and how stupid you have to be to make that and all that. And then the other one says, oh, this is really cool because it evokes a lot of like quest finding and interesting blah blah blah. It's more of like a sci-fi fantasy combination, and you could tell that they wanted to have elements that made it seem like more of an adventure. And there are there's cool imagery with a sword matching a landscape. That like you do that for both videos and then see which one plays better. Broadly speaking, I think
That would
the
be
criticism
interesting.
one would play better, but imagine if the Rey movie was just her and Sheev fighting over her body while she gradually just turns into Gollum. What?
Fuck it. Yeah, do it.
Yeah. He thinks TFA has better effects than the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Is he neurodivergent? I guess you could argue the CGI has more pixels. I don't know. I just don't.
More visual fidelity or whatever.
Mm-hmm. In the Amnesia OST, there's an unused track called the Brennenberg theme. If you've heard it, thoughts? I thought the first 2/3 were really neat. I probably did because I went through all the game files at one point doing that series, but I can't remember right now. But I do like the music.
Let me pull up a tab with it so I listen to it after we're done. Theme. Brennenberg theme.
Amnesia and
OST
Soma's
15.
soundtracks are pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'll keep this up on a tab here and I'll listen to it after we're done.
Sorry to make it worse, but Han didn't sell his medal for drinks. He sold for Luke's medal for drinks. Yeah, we did read this out because there's.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Because we thought it was bad, but then it was actually worse.
Mm-hmm. Yay. That's kind of true because the Romans genocided the Druids in England. Don't remember the context for that one. I remember my favorite ad you guys saw, which was like snippets of books, not even the full books. Yes, Blinkist.
Oh yeah, Blinkist. Yep, hate that.
Cancerous app.
Like just the idea.
Concept. Yeah.
Hey, yeah, you absorb the contents of the book in a summary. You don't. I don't know why anybody would say that. It'd be like watching a 5-minute YouTube summary of a film and saying you've watched the film. You haven't. The
Which people do.
totality of the book, people do, but it's stupid. The totality of it is what makes it.
Have you ever played a video game where you're like building a character or buying items and making a build, and you see what all the pros are using, and you just buy all the items that the pros use, but you haven't actually really played the game or learned it, so you don't understand the strategy or the reasons why they have purchased all those items or why the pros do what they do? That's what comes to my mind when Blinkist pops up. Is you don't have the context to understand why this is the thing. You know the end result, but you have no idea how to apply it or how you got it.
Yeah, I think that's a decent way of putting it.
Star Wars. In a galaxy far, far away, several aliens got together and decided to make an army of human genetic experiments, and then stuff happened. Right. I guess, is that a reference to those weird guys on Exegol? Little hooded
Oh,
dudes.
right.
I can't believe they had an army of dark hooded monks, evil monks, who were in this massive coliseum, just like chanting.
I don't know what that was.
Who the fuck were they? What is happening? Who are these people? Are these all Sith? Are they just how did they get here? Where did they come from? What the fuck? I have so many questions.
We already had a better movie about the Nazis returning from the moon. It's called Iron Sky. I've heard this a couple of times. That does sound like an EFAP movies right there. The Nazis return from the moon. Apparently it's funny, so it does sound
Yeah.
it could be wacky in a good way. Sequels desperately...
Somehow Hitler returned.
Sequels definitely need a prequel trilogy to explain how things got where they're at, and somehow those prequels would be better than the sequels. So that's a great story to tell, potentially, but I think it's too late now, you know? What's sad is you kind of could have done it with the cast when they made TFA. You could have done the trilogy between trilogies, even with their ages as they were. Never mind, though. Because, you know, a little bit of soft de-aging, for lack of a better term? You could pull that. Like, Samuel Jackson
they did it with
and
Samuel L.
Captain
Jackson.
Marvel,
There you go.
You could probably pull that off with Han, Luke, and Leia to commit to that trilogy, and then, depending on its success... Whatever. I don't know. I almost don't want to think about it anymore, because just how much they fucked it.
If I mean, the idea of a prequel that takes place like 5 years or so before the sequel trilogy, I was like, you can put them together. They could be doing stuff almost like a prequel to the sequels in a way. There's a lot of stuff they were never together. That still blows my mind.
That's crazy.
To this day, that blows my mind. It is actually crazy that you had the actors and you didn't put them together. What dumbass decided that? That's wild. Absolutely wild.
It amazes me how far people will go to defend the mess that is the entire Disney era. The prequels at least had good material outside of the movies. Yeah. Oh, sorry, great material.
That is very true. Absolutely. It's why we call the prequel trilogy like a new renaissance. It's a little redundant to say new renaissance, but it's a renaissance for Star Wars in what it birthed in terms of games, comics, books, the expansion of the universe and the lore. The movies were bad, but holy shit, they breathed an entirely new era of Star Wars into existence. It was incredible. And who gives a fuck about the sequels or the High Republic?
It's also just a juicy era, the prequels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Stories. More, are you going to review Jurassic World Rebirth? Yes. Well, wait, on EFAP, I guess you're asking if I make a video on it. I can never know until I see the movie whether or not that would even be a thing. But we'll definitely be talking about it on EFAP, because... Oh, boy. I don't know how it's a mystery to me how Dominion sort of just got ignored completely.
Yeah.
But hey, that happened. I once heard that one unbreakable rule of all literature is do not waste your audience's time. Ruin thinks he's a genius because he grapes that rule. Well...
I mean, it's a pretty good rule to not waste time.
Obviously, the problem with the rule is just the people who are doing it don't think they're doing it. You know?
Yeah, they don't think they're wasting time.
What does it mean to waste time? You know, it can be a bit difficult it can be difficult sometimes to figure out.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about this when we talk about pacing. Like, is there an objective way to measure pacing? Maybe not, but I think
best I can do is
talked about
new information per time. Basically it.
Yeah. What is the purpose of the scene? What is it doing? What are we learning? What is it actually accomplishing? And if you can't answer that question with a scene that you have in your whatever it is, then maybe don't have it and do something else, or cut it. We talked about this with Snow White. There were scenes that were cut out of Snow White that got pretty far along in their development, and Walt Disney said, you know what? Doesn't really add that much to the story.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of redundant, so we're just...
It was striking me,
gone. Cutting it.
There were scenes in Born Again, as I was watching the episodes, I was like, guarantee this becomes redundant. Because, like, the scene itself is so obviously going to be relevant later, but simultaneously has nothing in it other than the event. So it's like, someone's going to reference this event having happened, which makes this scene now useless. You don't need to see it when it's like it's just generic bad guys get shot or something. It's just like okay, but I guess you could say that's the use of it is to be like, oh whoa, ooh, action. Okay, I got shot.
Typically, action is an expression of the plot. In a way, it is you are seeing the action of a thing happening, right?
Yeah.
When Daredevil is fighting a bad guy, well, this is the part in the plot where we are explaining to the viewer visually how Daredevil is able to beat the villain, right? It doesn't just happen magically. There has to be a process by which the villain is captured. That is the action scene that you are witnessing.
Watching the Obi-Wan series on Disney is like stepping into dog shit. Okay.
Yeah.
This message is a prediction from when it will be read out. Happy Anzac Day, everyone. Fringy, hope you went to your local dawn service, lest we forget.
Man,
What's
you're not
Anzac
far off.
Day?
Anzac Day, it's you could consider it like Memorial Day or Remembrance
For
Day.
Australia or
But
Britain or
well, Australia and New Zealand. Anzac was Australia
okay.
and New Zealand. It's mainly for World War One Gallipoli, which was generally considered to be like the birth of the nation in terms of a strong Australian national identity. Because it was the first time World War One was the first time that Australia fought under its own flag. Because Australia didn't become a country until 1901. Up until then, it was just colonies. So
I
yeah,
didn't
but you're not far
I,
off in terms of your guess. I will say you're not far off in terms of predicting timing.
They might
yeah, I
be.
didn't know about Australia their involvement in World War One until the Battlefield 1 DLC where they had they had the Australian army as a faction that you could play in Battlefield 1 DLC. So
Yeah,
that
and
was
I
neat
would
to see.
assume I don't know that it could be said that like it's complicated to say like which war has had a greater like impact. Because obviously World War Two was the bigger conflict. But World War One feels like there's more focus on that here, compared to in America where it seems like there's a very limited focus on World War One compared to World War
Yes.
Two, which isn't
I
really surprising.
World War One, before, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. Battlefield One is the game that got me interested in World War One in that era. And it's often used as my example of how you can use video games to get people interested in real topics. But before then, World War One was just sort of a thing that happened. It's like we all know World War Two implies the existence of a World War One, but never really talked about that much here. So then when you learn more and more about it, it's like, oh shit, this was a huge deal. This is a really big thing. But because of our
Yeah, that's
involvement in it being relatively minor, um, it just, World War II overshadows it for our nation's history because it was, a very, very big deal for us.
On that note, Gallipoli, that's an Australian film. That's a great film. That's definitely up there in terms of war films, in terms of potency and impact. Because yeah, that was 1981, I think, is when that came out. But I mean, now it's been over 100 years though, because it was
It's true.
2015 was the 100th anniversary of Gallipoli, if I remember correctly. I think it was 2015. 100 years ago. That is once you pass 100 years ago, that starts to feel like a notably, distinctly long time ago. The 50s was a
Yeah.
long time ago, sure, but 100 years ago, because at that point you are moving. There's
I
not many
mean,
people who were alive back then anymore.
we're getting inching closer to the 100th year
We're getting
anniversary of
close
World War
to
I thought
II.
it was funny you
World
So,
War
just picked the
Two. Yeah.
50s, like 75 years ago is still that's chunky.
No, it was a long time ago. It's just that once you're over 100 years ago, it feels like you are divorced from living memory because
yeah.
very
Sure.
few people live more than 100 years.
Well, let me see. Last living veteran, World War
I don't
One.
think there is a single living veteran from World War One anymore.
I didn't think
I think
so.
the last one
I'm
died a few years ago.
the last surviving veterans, World War One. Let's see, with British servicewoman Florence Green, died in February 2012, and there were 2 servicemen, one Australian and one American, who died in 2011. So that's when we lost essentially our last World War I veterans.
A bad story told well, easy. Chinatown. The base story is pure shite, but everyone says what a great movie it is.
Bad story done well. I mean, it's weird. That's almost like a self-contradictory kind of thing. Like, if it's a bad story, but you tell it well, is it a bad story?
Well, we'd have to go watch Chinatown. Right. Figure out. Good reference on it. The Donkey Kong arcade game is a great movie because Mario jumps over a barrel. Fuck yeah.
Yo, I saw the thing, chicken jockey.
Well, remember
that was a certified chicken jockey moment.
Remember he praised Finn for jumping over the barrel in the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that. There's so many memes. We made fun of that forever.
Great.
Oh, look, he jumps over a barrel.
Palpatine should have come back with a dog pissing fire on the DS2 wreckage. Oh my god, Elm Street coming back. A trilogy with a vastly different theme? Easy. Alien is horror, Aliens is war, Alien 3 is fucking farce. Aliens is war.
Probably because it's more action-y.
I don't know what I would say the dominant theme in Aliens is. I'm not sure exactly what I'd go with for that. But Alien, I'd happily say horror, yeah, sure. Isolation,
family, or
terror,
working together,
paranoia,
cooperation, teamwork.
horror.
Teamwork.
Cool.
There you go.
I think Isaac Asimov. Oh wait, did I read this one?
If it's the one about his characters, then you did.
Well, to be fair, that was a while
Read it
back,
again,
so I think they may have sent it twice. I don't know.
I think
maybe.
Yeah.
I remember it as if it was yesterday when we covered it. So.
Fun fact for Sonic 3, they had puppets on set for Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles to talk to the human actors, and yes, the puppets looked really derpy. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's not unusual to have like puppets and stuff.
Well, in Infinity War, they had basically Thanos' head on a stick, and they were still, all those actors were still able to channel everything just through that, just so they knew what they were supposed to look at.
You mentioned overlooking a Super Chat Catchup before. Can you confirm if EFAP 206 Catchup is still on the list, or was this overlooked? Check real quick. That would be a She-Hulk episode. Well, I can discover whether it's in my logs, and if not, we will definitely do it. Don't you worry. So thank you for letting me know. I will get that sorted. Okay. How does this guy still have motivation to make videos? People besides us watch them? Well, it's a career, right? You know, you gotta do it. Gotta keep the money rolling in, hence the possible desperation of having made a video like this. Doesn't seem like something, you know. Yeah. Jar Jar Abrams and Ruin Johnson should be canned publicly for what they did to Star Wars. Well, one of them kind of is.
Yeah, J.J. Abrams is, he's in hibernation.
He did not. It was coming back to the Rise of Skywalker. If he didn't do that, I think he'd be fine. Probably, I think it would have been fine if he didn't do that one.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, we would talk about how bad TFA is, but if it was known that he was asked to come back for the third one and he refused or something, that I think people would say like he would have done a better job.
Yeah, he could, but instead he made it.
Yeah.
So now he has to own how people feel about it.
And it seems its majority agreed to be the worst one. That's what most people
because it
tend to
appeals
say.
to nobody.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Both the TLJ fans and the TLJ haters, neither of them like it.
Barrels are powerful. One famously took out Worf. Finn more powerful than a Klingon confirmed. Hell yeah. Let him go, jumping over that barrel. One day we'll get a Star Wars where the protagonist has a Bethesda morality meter and we'll see the struggle with the dark side so well. Sure, why not? Let's do it. I'm like 2 hours behind, but does anyone remember the absolute classic, "Here to give you the truth with truth-flavored bias" from RR? Oh, Remarkable Republican. Hell yeah. A good line. That's like double truth.
Double truth is way truthier than just single truth.
Hmm.
It's Truth Plus. And boy, I sure do love Truth Plus.
Hello, members of Fleam, followers of the Sharting Onion, and Rhino Milk Enjoyers. Happy to support you, gentlemen, and Rags. Hi, Rags.
Hello. That sharding onion, man.
That was fucking great. I love the sharding
That was
onion.
great.
It was. He was trying to jump over a little ledge, right? And he then pooped and it went into space. Or
I
something.
think so. Yeah, he had to get across the ledge, and instead of him jumping across the ledge, oh yeah, I think I drew the gap in the onion, and instead of him jumping across, he got headed to where he had like explosive sharderia, and he went up into space.
Yeah. We need to play more Garlic Fern.
We really do. Oh, that onion, brave Voyager. He's out there somewhere.
He's out there. A shilling for half-assed sequel trilogy defenses. Well, thank you. First time super chat. Hello, Rags.
Hello.
Here's to the years of content and getting me through hard times with memes and laughs. Cheers. Cheers to you.
Yeah, thanks for super
know.
chat. That's neat.
Yeah, thank you very much. At the peak of their training, Hayden and Ewan were so fast at lightsaber dueling, Lucas had to remind them to slow down because audiences wouldn't believe it wasn't sped up in post. Yeah, well, if you watch their behind the scenes, they're phenomenal, those two.
They really are. It is super impressive. You can instantly tell how much work they put into it. God, it shows.
Way better,
That's one of the
no
things...
offense, than Rosario Dawson awkwardly wibbling.
Wibbling?
I mean, what else do you call it, you know? It's feel bad, but yeah.
Disney gets a lot of credit for destroying things narratively and thematically, but I think it's worth reminding everybody just how, in general, how shitty the action scenes have been in pretty much everything Disney related.
I would go as far as saying
time.
Action scenes have also taken a huge dip broadly in media.
Yeah.
I feel like we get some good ones, but we've had a lot of shit as of late, which is unfortunate. You wouldn't have thought that would crash like at the same time as writing, but I guess it makes sense to an extent, right? Because you do have to write action a lot of the time. You can rely on a choreographer, right, to be like, oh, I know how to do a fight, but at the same time, the creativity of fights can make them really engaging. Been watching EFAP from the beginning, currently at 59, Jebby Nicholson and the Joker, with Tross coming up soon. 5 years later, and the sequels are still rant-worthy. Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that the three of us will rant about that came out decades ago, you know? Like, so, it's, it's generational trauma, let's call it that. I see the Steel movie starring Shaq behind the dog. What do they mean by this? I don't know, actually. He did have Steel back there, as well as some other stuff. Just his collection, I suppose. If I remember, the idea for Proximo is he'd die at the same place, but a longer, glorious 1v20 fight with his old skills. Since they lost him, they had to cobble together a shorter, and opt for a grim acceptance death instead. I think they did an excellent job in Gladiator with what they had, honestly. They stitched a bunch of scenes together, and, you know, I think it still works. It's still very tragic and stuff, but to see him go out like that, yeah, that could have been really awesome as well. Kylo is Bruce Wayne. That would be an interesting cast, wouldn't it?
That would be an interesting
Adam
cast.
Driver as Bruce Wayne. I don't think so, no.
I don't know. I don't see it.
He should have been Snape. Trying. That was so obvious. Holy shit.
It is obvious, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the H3 nuke? I don't know anymore. A lot of people treat those sorts of videos as back in the day in their height as like career killers. I don't know if it just the battle lines are so confusing at this point that people can't get galvanized into having the majority stake in a, you know, crushing careers or not. Because you could be like, oh, the impact of that video, it's gonna do XYZ, and then it's like, but it'll just fade and the wars go back to everyone being confused as to what the current state of any given thing is.
Essentially what opinion they're supposed to have.
Because now there's a counter from iDubbbz on H3, and it's like, will that have an effect? It's like, well, it certainly won't have the effect of his content cops from before. So what effect will it have? It's like, I don't know. Ethan will probably respond to it. I think he actually did respond to it within the hour. As in, like, started live streaming or whatever. So, this is what I mean. It's just like, it's just sort of never ending, and I think there's just enough people on the internet with enough big teams that they all are just like, we've won with our video that says we've won, you know? And the other person's like, well, we've got ours. We've got ours. And
even though nothing has happened, like nothing has even happened really.
Well, I suppose you could say that much like, so to speak, artistic culture stagnating, online culture feels it's got a lot of those sorts of problems as well. Star Wars: Divorce Awakens. Yeah, kind of. Films happily about in some ways. Speaking of rebooting, are you excited for the Buffy reboot? Fuck no. That's going to be a difficult one for me.
Why would I assume they're being sarcastic?
Oh yeah, they gotta be, right. I don't. If it wasn't, I'm just known as the guy who really likes Buffy, and so it's just like something that's managed to escape rebooting for so long, and it got hyper delayed by Joss Whedon's canceling. Like, it would have been done by now if he hadn't been cancelled.
Probably.
So yeah. I'm reminded of a theory I heard after Force Awakens came out that Rey had no father, was the next chosen one after Anakin Skywalker. Well, we're talking about an era where the trailer comes out and there are billions of videos talking about what the story might be. Everyone was so invested. It's all gone.
Yeah.
They don't
Which
know.
is pretty funny to think that there was just no reason to be anyway. She was going to be, Han Solo's daughter. That's what it was going to be. But then too many people figured it out.
Not Han Solo's. Obi-Wan's.
Was that? Was it?
Yeah.
Wait, was that the plan?
That was the original plan.
He would be her father figure.
Yeah,
that a lot of people would have assumed.
Which is
what?
It's what happened. It would be too. You can't. It's too complicated to make Han her dad because we've already got Kylo, right? Like the idea was Kenobi, and whatever story they were gonna do. It's because like you get the Ewan McGregor whisper at one point in TFA, and then Simon Pegg said that in some interview that he was under the impression from a while back that it was going to be Obi-Wan. I think Disney Ridley said it was initially going to be Obi-Wan.
I thought wasn't it didn't that I can't remember who it was from, that guy who did the video on the Star Wars Saved in the Edit, that thing. I remember him making like a very compelling case that she was going to be Han Solo's daughter.
Well, so what I was going to say is that it did switch many times. And then they settled on fucking Palpatine being her granddad. So,
and part of us, they kept going back and forth on whether or not it mattered. It's like, yeah, your lineage matters. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. Like, okay, this is good. Good job. You all talk to each other.
Stuff, yeah. Do you prefer Tentacool or Toad School?
Toad School. Let me look this up.
I was gonna say I don't know Toad School actually.
Tentacool.
Tentacool easily for me.
I don't even have to look at Tentacool because I know, but I will just to remind myself.
Tentacool.
Oh yeah, Tentacool. Yep.
Tentacool and Tentacruel.
The colors are way better.
I don't know about that guy. Toad School. I feel like they asked us this just for us to see this.
Look at it.
I mean, I think that Tentacruel is a really awesome design. I really like.
I love Tentacruel. He reminds me of the lads in Independence Day.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I kind of see what you mean.
But that is a cool looking fucking creature right there. You don't know what he's up to.
Well, I mean, Tentacool to Tentacruel is such a great like evolutionary jump. The fact that it starts off as Tentacool and then becomes Tentacruel, you could totally see how one is an upgraded version of the other.
Yeah.
A lot of excellent Gen 1 through 3 designs. There really were. I'm not as familiar
I'm saying, man.
stuff.
Tentacruel is probably a really good example of how things have changed. Look at that creature. I don't know. I just find that infinitely more interesting than a lot of the ones we see in the later gens. But
what about Bidoof?
Which generation is Bidoof from?
Bidoof
4.
is Gen 4. Bidoof is great.
He's the Zigzagoon of Gen 4. He's I
was gonna say I don't think anybody would dislike Bidoof. And that's the thing. There's not no good fun designs left.
And then he evolves into Bibarel. Which is he's just like a little beaver guy. He's like, man, what a great what a great dude. And he comes from this fucking goober. Look at him. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Bidoof.
Badoof.
But
What
yes,
are we gonna call
name.
him? I don't know. Badoof. That's great. Good job.
this was
Badoof.
Toad School, and just shit. As far as I'm concerned, taking Tentacruel and ruining him with colors don't match. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Sorry, not sorry. I'm reminded of a theory. Oh wait, that was it. Do you prefer? Is there a chance you guys would go over the 2 videos from Nerdonymous about the sequels? I'm interested in your views. There's a very good chance we'll do all 3 of his videos. I'm gonna wait a little bit longer, but if he truly is retired outright, then I feel like we should just cover the videos to get more awareness on them because they're excellent. Like all 3 of them are like 9.9 out of 10 videos. They're just so well researched, edited, quite funny. And I think the Star Wars Apocryphal ones, I think our audience will be fascinated by what's in there.
They're really interesting and very compelling. It's hard to walk away from that video and not conclude, man, it was all fucking JJ's fault ultimately.
Which a lot of people understand that anyway. He's in the top scorers for like ruined Star Wars. It's just that video makes a very good argument.
Well, and it sort of explains the nature of how like decisions may have come about in TLJ that are otherwise fucking baffling. I mean, they're still shit, like bad decisions, but rather that they start to make a bit more sense in the context of a broader plan or lack or lack thereof, or maybe there was a plan, you know, or the bare bones of the plan was just to perpetuate the mystery for as long as possible.
What he's known for.
And then, yeah.
I agree, video guy. Acolyte, Boba Fett, not actually Kenobi are everything the modern Star Wars fan deserves. Not been fantastic. Mark Twain was referential and memey when he came up with the Dolphin. All but one of Shakespeare's plays are direct adaptations of older texts. Dude acting like references and reboots are Gen Z. Oh yeah, I mean, references are in everything. That's actually part of the whole, there's no original works sort of argument.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone gets inspired by something, typically.
And derivative of something else.
Yeah. Green Crush's content for 4 straight years was centered around potential cameos for future MCU projects. Oh, that's the meaningful juice right there. Nutsa got that X-Wing ambience audio. Oh yeah, she was getting some wacky sounds, I think. It's necessary. It creates a dynamic that's needed on the show for sure, 100%. You know what would be surprisingly good as a Star Wars film? Just follow a small Imperial warship with a squadron of 2 fighters like a frigate. Pick anything, and you can make it great in Star Wars universe, honestly.
It is a platform for telling virtually any kind of story that you want to. All you have to do is just do it well. Anything but Star Wars is it's gold. It's like bank robbery, but in Star Wars. Boom. Train robbery, but in Star Wars. I mean...
Kind of funny, they've done that twice. They both, well, Andor and Solo, so different results.
Solo.
Not quite yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway, Out for a Walk, bitch, is a good old Buffy reference. I reckon this would be a funny reaction shot and a critique. Spike is always a mood and a joy. 100%. And yeah, that's one of the more, like, classically referenced funnies. And on that note, we're at the end. Thank you all so much for your kind donations, your fun messages, and we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
All right, catch you later. Bye-bye.